All right, everybody, welcome back to Digital Sleepover.
Yes, welcome back.
We're so glad you decided to join us again for another deep dive.
Always fun to have you here with us.
Absolutely. And, this time we are going to be diving into something that I think is probably pretty relatable for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure.
Everyday life and how to kind of find joy in the midst of all the chaos and uncertainty that we all seem to be experiencing lately.
It's a good topic.
Yeah, and we were looking over all of the materials that you sent us, articles from Psychology Today and the APA and the Harvard Business Review.
Lots of great stuff there.
And it seems like, a lot of people are struggling with work-life balance and economic uncertainty and...
Absolutely. I mean, that's definitely a common theme that we're seeing these days.
Yeah, and those things can really have a negative impact on our well-being. So I think it's important for us to talk about how we can kind of counteract those negative forces and find ways to stay positive and motivated.
Right. Because if you're constantly bombarded with negative news and you're feeling stressed out all the time, it's going to be really hard to, be happy and productive.
Right, and I think that's where the idea of celebrating small wins comes in.
Yes. And that's something that was really highlighted in a lot of the research that we looked at.
Yeah, it might seem kind of silly to celebrate making your bed in the morning, but
But it actually can make a big difference.
yeah, it's like a little boost of dopamine that can help you feel more positive and accomplished. And, it's those little things that can really add up over time.
It's true. And the research actually shows that people who celebrate small wins are more likely to achieve their larger goals as well.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because it gives you that sense of momentum. You're constantly moving forward, even if it's just in small increments.
So it's like you're tricking your brain into thinking that you're making progress even when you're feeling stuck.
Exactly. And that could be really helpful when you're dealing with a lot of uncertainty because it helps you stay focused on the positive and not get bogged down by all the negative stuff.
I think that's a really important point, because it's so easy to get caught up in all the bad news and the things that are going wrong that we forget to appreciate the good things that are happening in our lives.
Right. And even when things are tough, there are always going to be little things that we can be grateful for.
Absolutely. And I think that's a really good segue into the next point that I wanted to talk about, which is the importance of gratitude.
Yes, gratitude is so important.
It's so easy to take things for granted. We have food on our tables and roofs over our heads and
And we have each other.
yeah, and we have each other and, but we don't always stop to appreciate those things.
Right. We just kind of get caught up in the hustle and bustle of everyday life.
And that's why I think it's so important to make a conscious effort to practice gratitude.
Absolutely. And there are a lot of different ways to do that.
Like, what are some of your favorite ways to practice gratitude?
Well, one thing that I like to do is keep a gratitude journal.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, just take a few minutes each day to write down a few things that you're grateful for.
It doesn't have to be anything fancy, just like 3 things.
Exactly. It can be really simple things like, I'm grateful for my cup of coffee this morning, or I'm grateful for the sunshine, or, I'm grateful for my family.
Yeah, I like that. And, another thing that I like to do is just like kind of take a moment to appreciate the little things throughout the day.
Like all kinds of things.
Like, if I'm out for a walk and I see a beautiful flower or, if I hear a bird singing or, even just like the feeling of the sun on my skin.
Those are all great examples.
It's just about, taking a moment to pause and appreciate the beauty that's all around us.
Right. And that can be really grounding, especially when you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed.
Absolutely. And another thing that I think is really important to remember is that, we're not alone in this.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Everyone goes through tough times. Everyone experiences uncertainty.
Absolutely. And it's important to reach out to others and build a support network.
Yeah, because, when you're feeling down, it can be really helpful to talk to someone who understands what you're going through.
Right. And sometimes just knowing that you're not alone can make a big difference.
Absolutely. And I think that's why it's so important to have strong relationships with friends and family.
Yes, those
Yeah.
relationships are so valuable.
And, if you don't have a strong support network in your personal life, there are also a lot of online communities that you can connect with.
That's true. There are a lot of great online resources for people who are struggling with mental health or just, need someone to talk to.
And, there's no shame in seeking professional help if you need it.
Absolutely. There are a lot of great therapists out there who can help you develop coping mechanisms for dealing with uncertainty and stress.
And, therapy is not just for people who are going through major life crises.
Right? It can be beneficial for anyone who wants to improve their mental well-being.
I think that's a really important point, because there's still a lot of stigma around mental health.
Absolutely. And that needs to change.
Yeah. It's just as important to take care of our mental health as it is to take care of our physical health.
And sometimes taking care of your mental health can actually improve your physical health as well.
Oh, yeah, that's true. When you're feeling stressed, it can really take a toll on your body.
Absolutely. Stress can lead to all sorts of physical problems like headaches and fatigue and digestive issues.
So it's really important to find healthy ways to manage stress.
Like, what are some of your favorite stress management techniques?
Well, one thing that I like to do is exercise.
Oh, yeah. Exercise is a great stress reliever.
Yeah, it gets those endorphins pumping and it helps me clear my head.
Right. And it's also good for your physical health.
Another thing that I like to do is spend time in nature.
Oh, yeah. Nature is so calming.
Yeah, just being out in the fresh air and surrounded by trees and plants, it's really relaxing.
And it can help you feel more grounded.
Absolutely. And another thing that I like to do is meditate.
Meditation can be really helpful for managing stress and anxiety.
Yeah, it helps me quiet my mind and focus on the present moment.
And there are a lot of different types of meditation, so you can find one that works for you.
Yeah. You don't have to be like a Buddhist monk to meditate.
Right. There are a lot of guided meditations that are really accessible for beginners.
And even just taking a few deep breaths can be really helpful when you're feeling stressed.
Absolutely. Deep breathing can help slow down your heart rate and relax your muscles.
So it's a really simple but effective way to manage stress.
And it's something that you can do anywhere, anytime.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot of different ways to cope with uncertainty and find joy in the midst of chaos.
But I think the most important thing is to just be kind to yourself.
Yeah, don't beat yourself up if you're having a bad day.
Everyone has bad days.
It's okay to not be okay sometimes.
Exactly. And it's important to allow yourself to feel your emotions.
But also remember that those emotions are temporary.
They will pass.
And tomorrow is a new day.
A fresh start.
So don't give up hope.
Keep moving forward.
And celebrate those small wins along the way.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
We'll see you next time.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel and check out our past episodes.
We've got a lot of great content for you.
And in the meantime, remember to be kind to yourself and to those around you.
And to celebrate those small wins.
Because even the smallest victories can make a big difference.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll see you next time.